really looking at trying to spend a little more time on that rather than just trying to do it quickly at the end of each call.
Morning, Omar. It's Mark. I'm out here.
Hey there.
Omar, where is the Google Doc you're working on? I'm going to post it in the chat, or if you can.
Okay, I can do that. Hold on a second.
Thank you.
Welcome to the webinar. You have Perez, an attendee in listen-only mode.
Did I put that in the chat? Just in the chat window?
Yes, and if it just goes to me, I can post it for everybody. Perfect, thanks.
Okay. Wait a minute, for some reason, I've got some echo. Hold on. All right. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Just a couple of quick announcements. We've got, thank you all, a number of folks submitted talks for the regional summit in Europe later this year. We should get, everything should go out in terms of formal acceptances here pretty soon. One of the things that we've talked about before in terms of the summit presentations, workshop presentations, as well as even for this regional summit, just wanted to share some general advice, right? Any talk, we're looking for applicability to the whole OCP networking community. If there's a lesson that's meant for everybody, trying to make it more generally applicable. Understand that different companies will have different solutions they may want to talk about, but it really isn't meant to be sort of a product pitch. It's meant to be, hey, in the workshop, here are things that we can be thinking about from an open community perspective, networking in general that you observed that can be more of a, broadly applicable to the networking group as a whole. So we should see that, we should see those notifications, those sentences coming out. Last time we also talked about the possibility of having another dedicated workshop. We're starting to talk about maybe a 1 or 2 day event in August. Details to come on that. And then an update on the group charter. That is being reviewed by the incubation committee. As you all know, earlier this year, actually beginning this year, we socialized a new group charter to represent the broader expanse of work going on in the group. I believe the IC is voting on that, and hopefully we'll hear back soon on that. So those are sort of the public service announcements. Any questions on that before we go into the detailed group status? All right. Why don't we go ahead then? We've got we can just go by the order in the doc. Kurt, I see you've got some slides.
Yeah, I'm here.
Posted there. Can we,
Is it
Callie?
is it possible
Can we
for me
make?
to be the presenter?
Yeah, Callie, can you make Kurt Bruni a presenter?
Yes. Yep. Kurt, you should see a box pop up on your screen.
Okay, yeah. I see that. All right, is that sharing?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you see? Can you still see it?
Yes.
Yes, and
Okay.
it's bigger.
Yeah, I made it bigger. All right, I only have 2 slides. It's not a big thing. So yeah, quick rundown on the ONI project, things that have been going on since the summit. The first big thing is we're going to start to have a monthly phone call now. Felt like the project has gotten to the point where there are things to discuss on a more regular cadence, and also to have it be more familiar. Not just the mailing list where we get some technical things ironed out, but also a bit more personal with people phoning in and hearing voices. So on this slide, this has all been posted to the ONI mailing list as well, but these are the details about the monthly project call. It's going to be every 3rd Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time, the same time as this call. So that's pretty cool. I'll be sending out an agenda for that, a few days before. The next one is going to be, well, the first one's going to be a week from Wednesday. So that's pretty cool. And thanks for Callie and others that helped me set that up. Very cool. Okay, and then now a quick rundown of some of the highlights of the most recent release, which went out a couple weeks back in May. Number 1 on the list, and was a long, hard effort, was adding UEFI secure support to the x86 platforms. The links on these slides, which I've actually shared the Google Doc link further down in the meeting notes for today, so you can look at these slides yourself and click on these links. But that's pretty cool. It's adding the maintaining the root of trust from the boot firmware all the way through ONI up and running. It's all documented. It's documented in the ONI wiki documentation. It's implemented, and that's very nice. The next big thing that some people struggle with is how do you build ONI? And there is a bit of it depends on your build host a little bit. There are some things that need to be installed and whatnot. And to help get around that, we've set up a Docker build environment that folks can use. So without too much thinking, they can get up and going and hacking on ONI using a Docker container that we've put together. And that also is out there and documented on the wiki and also in the repository. Next up is sort of a user experience improvement for developers and sometimes for users. Going back and forth between the installed NOS and ONI can be a little confusing, particularly on legacy x86 BIOS platforms where the grub menus are a little confusing, and the default ONI behavior of going into install mode, which wipes out your installed OS, can catch one off guard. And so we've added a command that a NOS installer, so those of you who are writing NOSes and are involved with the NOS installer, your ears should perk up here. You can use this command to set a little bit of state in ONI, so ONI will behave a little better when it knows that a NOS has been installed, as opposed to when it's freshly provisioned out of the factory. That was a big one. And then and there's some other little things that got in there, like there's 5 or 6 more platforms and some bug fixes. Beyond on that, I don't have any other major updates for ONI. If anyone has any questions about any of these things or something else, speak up now or send an email to me, send a message to the mailing list. That'd be great.
Thanks, Kurt. Yeah, I had a quick question just on the secure boot, the secure boot support, and actually, I guess the Docker build environment. Like, how I'm trying to get a sense of just how many folks, how many different companies you feel have kind of been working with you on this, and try to get a sense of, is this something in the upcoming workshop that we should really spend some time delving into, almost like from a tutorial perspective for people to see.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, there was a handful of companies were interested in secure boot. I mean, it comes up in vague terms. The notion of security comes up all the time, and secure boot specifically, there were Lenovo and Acton, and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody else, were keen to help out with this and provided feedback and suggestions. Also Dell, and Dell was involved with getting this going.
So you think it's
for the
worthwhile?
Docker build environment.
Go
Pardon?
ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
The second part of your question was about Docker, and that was more organic. The name escapes me, but it's in the Git log that it was a sort of an individual at a smaller company helped put together the Docker build environment. I'm forgetting his name at the moment. Can't quite remember. Oh, I should point out there's one cool thing happened. It's not on this list, but it was sort of a sign of the times, is that a person who works on the Debian installer, so this is a Debian developer, he added support to their installer build system to where Debian can now natively generate an ONI compatible image. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Coming not in the current stable version of Debian, but the current unstable, I forget the name of the next version of Debian, but the next version of Debian will be able to build ONI installable images natively, which is that's pretty cool. But then you got another part of this question was about the upcoming workshop, and should we demonstrate something or showcase something?
Yeah, I guess we can just brainstorm about that afterwards, but I think that's those two things are pretty great. Any other questions for Kurt? If not,
okay.
Please,
Sounds
if
like
you
that's it for me.
Yeah, if you're interested, please join the ONI the first inaugural working call, and next week. Thanks again.
All righty.
All right. So why don't we go now to?
I think I turned sharing off, so it went away.
Yeah.
You did.
All right.
Thanks. Shin, are you on the line? Think so?
Hi, Omar. Yes, I am.
Great.
Can you please make me the presenter?
I sure can.
Thank you, Callie.
Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep, can see it.
Yeah. So I have two project update, more on the Sonic side and less on the side because the proposals are undergoing. Actually, looking at Kurt's slides, I think I need to add a little bit more general information of Sonic and Sci. I was about to talk about all the proposals we have in Sonic, but looking at Kurt's slide, I think I need to let the community know that Sonic has a bi-weekly community meeting, which is Tuesday evening, 10 to 11 p.m. PST. Sorry for choosing such a difficult time for some of the people, because we have people in Asia, in Europe, in United States, so we have to choose a time that works for people all over the world. It is Tuesday evening, 10 to 11. We also add meetings ad hoc, because we have more topics or design or test plan to discuss. So we usually send out notification ahead of time. We have a mailing list, Sonic project. I will add to these slides too. So looking at what happened after OCP on Sonic. So first thing is we released March release right after OCP, which on top of all the basic L2, L3 functionalities, critical resource monitoring, MAC agent, IPv6 echo, BGP labor down acceleration, and the PFC watchdog for RDMA. At this moment, we are working on June release. The major item in June is first a gRPC. I will talk about it later. Second, to provide framework for CLI to unify the Quagga, the Linux, and Sonic native CLIs to have a unified format. As well as we are working on the documentation of Sonic architecture-wise, component-wise, to enable people to understand the Sonic architecture much better and easier to use that. We are also working on a big feature called the warm reboot. I will talk about it in a minute. The last one is to add, this is the best effort in case we have time to finish it. It is to enable barefoot int to be supported on Sonic. Looking forward, we have also a bunch of items in September. The main ones are Debian upgrade from the current 3.16 to 4.9, as well as a bunch of features. If you are interested, please go to the Sonic Wiki to look at the roadmap. We also have a call for contribution if you are interested in developing some features on Sonic, like SFlow, like Verve. You're welcome to reach out to us to see how you can participate. So in the next few minutes, I will talk very high level at a few features we are working on. We all have designed the spec published on the wiki, so I'm not going to talk about the details of implementation, but just high level why we are going to support that. So the first one is gRPC. Actually, this one enables us to have more capability of getting the telemetry data out instead of using the traditional SMP or syslog or other method. So the gRPC will actually mainly based on the GNMI framework. We are looking at all these data. So basically, Sonic has 7 types of data from the application, ASIC data, all kinds of counters, also the logs, the configuration data, flexible PFC watchdog counters, and the state data. So what we are looking forward is we can either do a pull method to get data from the Radius DB. We can also do a push as a streaming method to push this data out. So this work has been already checked in to the master branch. We are going to release it in June. The next one is warm reboot. Actually, this one is very important to provide reliability and reduce the downtime in data center scenarios. At a high level, what does it mean is actually we are going to enable a switch running on Sonic to be able to restart or upgrade without downtime, data plane downtime. There are two types of changes. One is in-service restart, meaning the software version components are not changing, but you are going to restart it. Or this happens at the time that when you change configurations, this or a similar scenario. The second one is further that sometimes we do need to upgrade the OS version or SDK version. We are going to also enable under these scenarios that there is no downtime, no downtime on data plane. So this actually is a critical feature that enable us to get further in improving the availability for the customer running on the data center. So this work has two parts. One is engaging the side providers, the side ASIC vendors to work on the side part to enable if I'm going to upgrade the side version. How can we avoid the downtime? The second one is on Sonic part. How do we enable each containers to be able to be restarted, particularly the multiple very, very critical component like the database, like the syncd, like the Brain SWSS. How do we restart them without downtime? The detailed spec is published again on the wiki. It has been through two times discussing in the community. We will have one more. Another feature we are doing is actually enable Barefoot if someone is running Sonic on Barefoot switches that able to enable int data to be able to get out from the box through an agent on Sonic. So this work is contributed by Barefoot. So these are the major items going on in Sonic for the next release. We also have an effort here to work on the architect document and the user manual, how you can configure each component. Actually thinking loud, this will fit into what we will do on the OCP workshop. We do plan to attend OCP Regional Summit. At this moment, Li Hua is going to present the latest development in Sonic and Sai in Amsterdam. And also we plan to attend OCP workshop in August if it will happen. Thinking loud, what we can do there is one idea is because there are rising demand in the community on knowing more about Sonic, how I can contribute, how can I plug into a container, or if I want to develop some CLIs for Sonic, where to start. Thinking loud, one way to do the workshop is for how we can participate is we have a detailed presentation on each component and enable people to be able to program on top of this platform. Okay, come back to side project. Actually, I have only a very short update on this. There are two major efforts currently in the side community. On top of the regular pull request discussing, we are talking about how to improve telemetry inside. We already have telemetry TEM1, that's a version 1. Currently, we are working on TEM2, which is better and or more complete telemetry telemetry objects or telemetry proposal on top of Psi, basically looking on two areas. One is data plane, the other one is from the performance and the RDMA point of view, what type of counters, watermarks, and everything we would like to get out of the box to help people to troubleshooting and to have better reliability. The second one is actually programmability discussing. This is also ongoing. There are different proposals in the currently talked about in the community meeting. So by the way, our community meeting is weekly, every Thursday morning, 8 to 9 a.m. PST, Pacific time. You're welcome to join. We also have Psi community mailing list that is opencomputepsi at ocp.com. So I put a link here as the design doc. We expect this to proposal discussing will last for a while, because there are many people are very engaged, and the discussing is actually there's a lot of ideas and counter ideas going on in the community. Actually, one more is we are going to improve the test. In Sonic, we are going to publish like around 40 PTF tests that enable people to unit test your Psi implementation. So basically, that's the update from Psi and Sonic community. Any questions?
Questions for Shin?
Yes.
Shin, I had a question. One was around the use of and kind of alignment with GNMI. Is that something that you see that? Can you describe that a little bit more for folks? Like, is that and when you say it's largely based in GNMI, does that mean is it a fork? Is it adhering pretty closely to them? Is that something that we can kind of spend a little bit more time with that group? How would you describe the GNMI relationship?
Actually, this is an good question. So we actually are just like the GRPCs. We are actually not working with GMI group. We just implement GRPC on top of Sonic, but we don't change much on top of GMI.
Okay, great. So I see. So it's actually pretty loosely coupled in terms of how that.
Yeah. Yes. But gRPC we think is a good a good way to streaming the data out.
Good. Any other questions for Shin? Actually, I had one question, and this is just generally for everybody. I think back at the summit we had talked about, the potential of, even going to maybe having a workshop in Asia or a meetup in Asia, because I know a couple of the companies who have been working on Sonic, including, of course, Alibaba, have a growing community there. Have you gotten the sense of other adopters of Sonic in the Asian region?
Let me repeat, Omar. Yeah, I think you are a little bit breaking out. You're asking me about thinking of having a workshop in Asia on Sonic side, or is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not as big as a workshop, but just maybe a meetup, something a little bit less formal, but different companies who are interested in it. I was wondering if you were starting to see some more interest beyond Alibaba.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. That as like we are aware that the interest in sonic oxide is has been keep increasing in Asia. Beyond Ali, there are multiple other big companies as well as mid-tier companies are trying out or to pilot, as well as starting from the looking at mailing list and contribution. Actually, we see the interest is extended much further beyond Alibaba. I do think some conversation or a workshop or presentation or working with their ODCC, that's like OCP organization in China, is probably a good way to get engaged.
Okay. So maybe we can chat offline about that. If others within the community are interested, we can try to pull them in for maybe a meetup or presentation.
Yeah, that's a good question, and also probably extend our our workshop to them. Yeah, would like
Good.
to sync with you offline. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Let's see. Let's move on to Steve. Steve or Jeff on from Big Switch.
I am on. Jeff had to take kind of a emergency break. So since everyone else is doing slides, I suppose I should do slides. So Microsoft PowerPoint. Show this window. Okay. So everyone can see that, I assume, if I'm seeing it.
You see it?
Okay. So I don't have a lot to talk about. Jeff would have probably gone more in, but basically, we have Psi now, and we have the rights to redistribute it. I don't remember if I updated that last time. For Broadcom, for most of the other players, obviously it's much simpler to get, but we have that, and so we're working to integrate Psi into Broadcom-based ONL platforms. And we're starting with the ones that are on Sonic's list, because that means that we can easily get the information necessary, like the 7712, 16, that nature. The goal there really is to create an ONL that has Psi so that it can be used for projects, and people can automatically have something to use for forwarding. We were receiving a lot of interest in the 4.9 kernel, and we were really receiving interest in a newer kernel. So I think just 3 days ago, we updated the 4.14 kernel to 4.14.48. And so we're expecting we're going to see quite a few platforms moving to the 4.14, just for different reasons. I think everyone knows the limitations of the 4.9 kernel. Our test framework, we actually have someone who is dedicated in the QA department to work on ONL and any projects related to ONL. And so they've been developing a test harness that does things like shuts and unshuts ports, brings up FRR, brings up OSPF, BGP, checks all of that stuff on ONL for systems that we can actually support that on. And then as we get more systems in place that can support that, such as the Psi-based systems, we're going to go ahead and do that. So we expect that I'm not sure how far out, but end of this year probably we'll have a pretty large selection of systems that we can run tests on. Those tests can also technically be Sonic, because we do run Sonic on a couple of platforms that aren't supported by anyone else. Well, I mean, we support them on ONL, but for forwarding, they're supported. And so we have those running in our lab just for a litmus test or for testing against. And then the last thing is we're working on better ONLP development documentation. And this is something that we've needed to do for a while. But we're finally getting the cycles around it. And so our goal here is for vendors who've never used ONLP to be able to look at this documentation, understand it, and be able to port ONL to their platform. And that's my only thought.
Thanks, Stephen. It is pretty cool to see some of the common themes here across the different presentations here. Upgrading, it's like this better engineering, sort of getting to later kernels, getting better test frameworks, getting better documentation. I think that's something that Shin and Kurt covered as well. So that's cool to see, as well as integration, right, between Psi and ONL, and Psi and even GNMI. So any questions? Any questions for Stephen?
Hi, Stephen. This is Shin. Yes, I wonder, your work here is very interesting. I wonder, do you have like a weekly meeting or community meeting? Information.
We haven't started meetings yet. We're waiting till the point that we think we'll have a large enough group. Mainly because there isn't a version of ONL that ships that can forward. So if we start shipping one that does do forwarding, we can do that. We've been having meetings with other members of the community about things. But we'll probably start a meeting in August or September. That's my thought, because right now that's kind of the stretch goal of getting some of this going. We're also doing something specific, I believe, to how you guys handle things, which is that we're working on standardizing the SysFS.
Right.
Because previously, the way if someone wanted to build ONLP, they did that SysFS any way they wanted, and we didn't worry about it. But now that we know that you guys have a standard for SysFS, we're going to try to get A, the new platforms to be using that, and B, to get older platforms to update to it so that we are kind of standardized across the board.
I see. Thanks. Yeah, when you have the community meeting, could you please? I believe you are sent to the community, network, the whole networking community. Yeah, I'm looking forward to participate.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for the updates. Just in terms of people getting actually more in-depth review, probably different companies and hearing about projects too. So, can we move on? We've got.
Omar, you're breaking up a little bit. Are you guys having troubles hearing him as well?
Yes.
So sorry about that. On a second, let me see if I can. Is that a little better?
Going in and out.
Can we move on to Dawn?
Yes, Dawn, are you ready?
Yes.
I'm going to make you a presenter.
I just put my my bullet points into the Google Doc agenda. So if you want, you could show that, or people could just go to the agenda and look. But so here's where we are with OOM. First off, I want to distinguish between OOM and the opto drivers. So just keep track of which we're on here. For OOM, which is the Python API, it's stable, it's available, not much change lately. The idea is that that's any switch, any NOS, decodes EEPROMs for easy keyword access, just for those who haven't worked with it before. There's 100 SFP keys that are decoded in that Python table. There's 200 QSFP keys available. Unfortunately, we don't know of anybody who's actually using it. So it's there. We use it for our demos, trade shows, for customers, and so on. We think it should be useful for people who might do things like SFP tuning. The Facebook paper at the last summit talked about tracking DOM data for laserware. To get that data, you could use OOM, or anybody could custom figure out where that data lives and decode it. But so right now, nobody's actually using it. So it's kind of sitting on hold, available. We talk it up, but that's where it is. As we were developing it, we figured out that the underlying drivers that gave us access to the EEPROM data were pretty inconsistent across the various NOSes that we were trying to run on. So we started the opto driver effort to access the EEPROM data. So it's streamlined to just do SFP, QSFP. Most of the drivers we found were basically EEPROM drivers that had been sufficiently changed to be able to handle SFP, QSFP, but there's a lot of baggage left over. So this has been streamlined to be just for QSFP and SFP. It accesses all 256 architected pages. It provides read and write access. We factored out the CPLD controls like transmit on, off, things like that, because those are hardware dependent, switch dependent. But we could get the EEPROM access cleanly separated from that so that everybody could do that in a common way. It's built for trying to support all versions of Linux. Right now, the version we have compiles on everything from 3.16 up to the very latest staging kernel. Currently, it's deployed on ONL and Sonic. Thank you very much, Steve, Jen. Appreciate that you're using it. And yesterday, I completed all the details to submit it to mainline, and there's already active discussion about tweaks and adjustments that need to be made to that. So that's where we stand right now. Next stuff up on the list, we want to get that driver into the mainline kernel, so continue pursuing what's going on right now. And then get it back ported to stable releases. 4.9 sounds popular, and something later Steve was suggesting. We want to basically get it into NOSes. So there's some folks using it still odd things. Some folks are actually using user space access to the I2C driver directly. We think once this is in the upstream kernel, it's more likely to get deployed across more NOSes. Then we need to get QSFP-DD support. Hardware is showing up. It was visible at the OCP summit. Both OOM needs keys for that, and Opto needs at least one tweak to be able to access it. The standards writers, in their wisdom, chose to put the bit that tells me it's pageable in a different place. So I actually have to go look. I have to know it's a DD device and look in a different place to see if it's pageable. There might be other things to do, but at least that has to change. So I need to make some changes. I need some hardware and a NOS to test on. I don't have a switch that supports QSFP-DD. The changes are small. It's possible I can do this remotely, but if anybody can help me out with access to a switch and a NOS, that would be great. And we're kind of noodling on the idea of redfish access. So add the DOM data to the redfish profile so that it'd be a standard thing you can get out of redfish would be the state of your, the DOM information or anything else that someone might think would be useful. So that's what we're looking at right now. Any questions?
Yeah, how you doing? This is Greg McSorley from Amphenol. I'm just curious if you're looking to do further work when you get on to QSFP-DD, would you not also want to include the OSFP module also? The DD right now is trying to come up with a common management interface that would work on both DD and OSFP.
Sure. I'm using I don't know if there's more than one spec. The spec I have is for QSFP-DD, and I think it mentions OSFP as well. So if there's a common, basically, if the layout in the EEPROM is the same, this should just work for both.
Right, because that's what they're trying to do anyway.
Yeah.
For 8-lane, variants.
Right.
Right, okay.
Just by the way, the DD standard, and I don't know if the OSFP standard as well, specify also that you can have multiple banks of 8 lanes. The driver doesn't do banks right now, so that would be another extension. Right now, I can just tweak it a little bit to handle the first bank of 8 lanes. The larger piece of work needs to be done to handle beyond 8 lanes, but I'm guessing there aren't any of those around right now. So that's coming later.
Okay.
Kurt, if you're still on, we need to figure out the two things that have come up in the discussion. Kurt, are you on still?
Hello? I'm here.
Okay, the two things coming up in the discussion on the main line, get to the main line, are both things I put in so that it will work on Cumulus. So I can see we have email, you've responded to an email. So that'll be useful to figure out, do we want to keep the EEPROM class? And turns out I put a couple fields in for compatibility so that the data that comes right now from the Cumulus I have just flows through. So Miss, I'm gonna need your help deciding what would be useful to you guys. I want to make this work for you guys with minimum effort to you as well as me.
Right. Yeah, let's sync up on that.
Okay. Does anybody have a switch that does QSFP-DD? Okay, still waiting. All right, that's all I have. Omar, you on? I'm done.
Hello?
Hello?
Did we lose Omar?
Hello? Hello?
I think
Is
I
Omar
can
saying
hear
Omar, we
Omar.
can hear you.
Okay, sorry. I moved on. I tried to reduce some of my, make my connection a little bit clearer. So thanks, Don. I think the, getting stuff into mainline is super important. If there's anybody from the vendor community, I would imagine they've got some QSFP DD that we should see. Like you said, we're starting to see that coming up. So something to if you're a vendor and you have that, let's get in touch with Don. So.
Actually, Chris, the NOS providers also are going to need to write their own driver or get mine to access DD. As it stands right now, they can't get past the first 256 bytes unless they're making changes themselves. So if any NOS vendor is working on QSFP-DD, I'd be happy to tweak my driver to make small changes if you're willing to test them on any hardware you got.
Good. Great. So then maybe we can go to Rajat.
Sure. Hey, Omar. I think we're getting close to the top of the hour, so I'll really keep it quick.
I don't think David. David, are you on this call? I don't think we got a confirmation from. I don't think David could make this one. So, Rajat, if you want to take the next 5-6 minutes and wrap it up for us.
Sure. So, Kaylee, if you can make Sudan the presenter, and while you're doing it, I'll tee it up.
Yes.
So we have been, since the summit, we went on to an experiment where we put CBW hardware in Mojo NOS and lit up the summit Wi-Fi with open Wi-Fi. Last CBW monthly call, we did like a pre-read of the findings, and the document's getting a little more mature now in OCP template. Thanks, Lisa, for doing that. So what we wanted to go through in the next 5 minutes is, like Sudan, just to go over the finding for the wider group, the findings and the high-level, findings, what we found at the OCP Wi-Fi OCP Summit on CBW hardware, and then we will also publish this document on the mailing list. The end game for this document is that we create a comprehensive technical benefits of open Wi-Fi with CBW philosophy or OCP philosophy, and then add the commercial aspects, like how is this a lot more commercial, attractive, the same economies of scale of that hyperscalers enjoy in the network switches, and all can be applied to open box Wi-Fi as well. With that, Sudan, why don't you just go over, in the next 5 to 7 minutes, go over the highlights of the open Wi-Fi paper.
Yeah, thanks, Rajat. So, as Rajat said, this is just a draft of this paper that we've been working on. So, pardon the formatting is not quite finished. So, I'll just skim through this real quickly, so people just get a high-level overview of what we did at the summit. So, so these were some quick facts. So. In case there were quite a few announcements regarding this at the summit, so but in case for those who couldn't attend or weren't aware, so we basically deployed open Wi-Fi at the main exhibit hall of the convention center, which was about 40,000 square foot area on both the days. It was a mixed network running some of our APs and some of the OCP accepted APs from EdgeCore. And then this is what we actually had running on the AP. So this is like the typical partition layout of an ARM-based AP. So we had ONI and then our NOS partition running on these APs. And then, so this is a deployment in the exhibit hall area of the access points. And then I'll just skim through real quickly. So these are some of the metrics that we collected. So this is from the dashboard of our cloud managed NOS, which shows basically the clients that tried to connect, some of the failures that happened, etc. So on the first day, we had constrained the per client uplink downlink speeds to like about 3 or 4 Mbps, but then on the second day we removed all those restrictions, and so these were the kinds of speed test results that people were getting on their devices in the exhibit hall. So I think overall it was quite it was quite a good experience, and we got a lot of positive feedback regarding the quality of the Wi-Fi at the summit. And then going down, I'm just going to go through some of the metrics that we had. So this just shows the APs and the channel distribution, the clients that were connected, utilization. This is the average RSSI that we had in the exhibit hall while the clients were connected. This is the conversion percentage, which is basically the percentage of numbers that connected versus the ones that we just got probe responses, etc. from the clients. So this shows the footfall at the summit during the 2 days, 20th and 21st were the main 2 summit days over here, and it shows the distribution over time. This was the total data that was transferred during the 2 days. So on the Mojo APs, we had our application visibility engine running. So these were the the various applications that we detected, basically transferring data during the 2 days over there. Then we have some statistics on the devices that we saw, the number of the duration for which the devices were present. Also, the type of devices that were here. One interesting thing that we saw at the summit was that the deployment actually turned out to be almost a 5 gigahertz deployment because of all the AV equipment at the show, there was so much noise on the 2.4 gigahertz band. And this was true for our APs as well as the Cisco APs that were deployed at other parts of so all of them converged to just one. There was only one channel that was sort of usable, and then since all the APs converged on that channel, even that channel wasn't very usable. So as you can see, that the coverage was almost entirely 5 gigahertz for the Wi-Fi during the 2 days. These were the metrics for the device association duration during the summit. And so yeah, that's basically what we have. Like I said, we need to get through the formatting and add some more of the commercial aspects that Rajat talked about. But that's what we've been working for. And just for everyone's information, this is the AP. This is what we had deployed at the in the exhibit hall during the summit. This is the EdgeCore Open OCP accepted AP. So Rajat, you can take it back. Thanks.
Sure, thanks, Sudan. So, and anyone has any questions for Sudan on this paper? We will post this paper once it's relatively more mature in terms of drafting and more content. We put a chapter on commercials. We will put it on the mailing list for review, and we'll schedule some reviews as well. But in the meantime, does anyone have any questions for Sudan?
I'm just looking at the bottom right corner of the screen and thinking, thank you, Sudan, for showing up at 11:30 p.m.
My pleasure.
Yeah, definitely.
So just a quick point, we are also talking to the OCP Regional Summit organizers and seeing if we can, duplicate this effort at the Amsterdam Summit as well. So hopefully we can work out the logistics and make it happen there as well. So we'll keep everyone posted regarding that.
Yeah, thanks you all. This is a great sort of this is a great example of the not only the deployment but also the write up afterwards in terms of the white paper, and this is great data. And so I'm looking forward to kind of us and the whole community diving into it a little bit more. So thank you all for sharing that.
Thanks. And then we'll have the next update again on the monthly CBW call, and we'll most likely discuss the commercial chapters of this document. So people are like more than welcome to join our CBW monthly call and have a deeper discussion on this. And I'll give it back to you, Omar. Thanks.
Great. All right. Well, thank you all for doing all the updates, and thanks to everyone for listening. I think that wraps us up. So we'll talk to you next month.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thanks, Mike.